the best. I can't hide it.
Something happened on Saturday. I forgot to give thanks to all those persons who would have participated or who have assisted us in preparing the breakfast.
Okay.
And so my apologies to all those lovely ladies, Hyacinth and her sister Sindrine, and our caretaker J.D. Keynes, Jean Keynes, Devon Cornelius, sister from up there in Hamilton.
Bows and the boys.
Bows and the boys came through, they set up the tent. So, it's always good. And of course, those persons who donated handsomely. My good friend at Happy Endings, they would have donated. Kevin Huggins would have donated. I don't want to give out all the names because people are going to start to try to back raise me. So I just want to say thanks to all those persons who would have been so generous with their time and resources.
And tell them I said they did a fantastic job.
Okay.
And they told me that they're going to be listening. They told me they're going to be listening to see if I tell any lie. The only thing, I didn't get any extra Johnny cake. I didn't get any extras, but they were good. They were outstanding.
I wondered who made those Johnny cakes.
Rivers.
Rivers?
I think he's the best in Nevis.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's outstanding.
They were fantastic.
Yeah, okay, gentlemen. Last week we dealt with the poultry processing plant because we were showing ideas that NRP brought forward, which is CCM bungling right now. And it wouldn't harm if we just talk about this South Coast Road. And this is something which was brought forward by Dr. Daly. I didn't have to give him advance notice because he has been with that project for going close on 10 years now, Dr. Daly.
It's about that.
Yeah, just about 10 years.
2015.
And here what happened. Dr. Daly brought the South Coast Road and placed it on the agenda. And the first thing that CCM did, this is a federal election. So it's a federal election, it cannot be done locally. So why you bringing that South Coast Road forward? And then by the next budget, they had quietly slipped in $500,000 for consultation fees to do the road, which was not possible, which didn't make sense. It's not on the screen because I'm trying to fix Tulu's headspace.
Okay.
He is, I'm going to give him okay, I got him now. So now could switch back over. So, Dr. Daly, walk us through why the South Coast Road was, is, and shall be important. And then we are going to have the discussions with the clandestine way in which some people are trying to acquire that property. NRP was doing it for the good of Nevis. Other people are doing it for some people to benefit.
Okay. Well, I am very familiar with the coastal road, having walked it, hiked it for many, many, many years. We used to hike that road there to go fishing all the way over to almost to Indian Castle. Picking Wilkes, as small boys, that was the place to go to get away from Charlestown, and it was a group of us. And then after we lost the elections in 2013, myself and Hector used to go walking over the coast, and we always used to conversate, man, it would be fantastic to get a road through here, complete with all of the utilities, power, water, communications and all that, to open up this last frontier for the benefit of divisions to access. And so we put it together on a plan. We actually put it in the manifesto for 2015. A depiction of what the road should look like, a scenic road, just hugging the coast, going all the way to Butlers. And so, it was a brilliant way to open up the interior of not necessarily the interior, the coastal area of the island. And when you go to a place like Saddle Hill, you look down onto the vista. You can look from Long Point clear back to this place called Stockpen, which is just a little bit west of Indian Castle. You can't see much beyond Indian Castle unless you go on the other side of Saddle Hill. But it's just a sweeping panorama of the island of Nevis. It's just a fantastic view, unencumbered, no houses of any note, just wild areas, and so it was ripe for development, division ideas, and so we put it together and put it out there to the public, and it was scorned at by the CCM government, and ever since then it's been kind of languishing in the background, and then quietly we start hearing that the Brantleys, and I use that word deliberately, the Brantleys were hell bent in trying to acquire that same stretch of land from Long Point to Butlers, over 6 miles of land. We were initially thinking is only up to Saddle Hill, but persons from far away as Butlers were calling us to say, listen, they're calling us too. And the government would own intervening pieces, like Indian Castle, about 250 acres, Stockpen is another 100 acres, in New River, couple of 100 acres. And so there are some intervening pieces that the government do own that we are very careful, we are very suspicious of, because the government can simply offload those without any negotiation of note. And so, as the story broke, that it is basically one entity that is trying to control 1/6 of the island and to set up an enclave, a sovereign enclave, it really ruffled a lot of feathers. Because here we were thinking that this would be an ideal development for Nevisians to benefit from, with housing, industrial site, a mix of all sorts of development, because it's such a vast area. And here we're learning that the Brantleys were interested in not that, but to offer it to a single entity to do to put up an enclave that we as Nevisians would have no access to.
Let me put 2 things on the table so that people can be aware. When NRP was in government, a representative from the firm of Daniel Brantley and Associates came to cabinet with a proposal to buy all that 15 acres of land where the Malcolm Gishard Park now sits, and going all the way down to the beach to include the areas occupied by Lime, Weekends, Sunshine, and all of those other entities. A representative from the firm of Daniel Brantley and Associates. And I say this because there is evidence. They were looking to buy all that portion of land to offload it to a company called Viceroy. They were operating a hotel in Anguilla. And they had, listen, there was no, if you talk to representatives of Daniel Brantley now, there's no remorse. They were quite willing to sell all of that 15 acres of land. The last portion of land on Pinny's Beach, which is owned by the people of Nevis. Secondly, I want to remind every single person who is listening and who will listen in the future. It was the CCM administration that sold 1 square mile of Nevis to Newfound. So this is not anything which is strange to the CCM in terms of liquidating the assets, in terms of the land, our most important resource after the people. Getting rid of those. So when I started getting calls from people to tell me, boy, I need your opinion on something. I'm getting calls from people who say they want to buy my family land. And I say, well, tell me who. And they told me who. And then somebody from a law firm said to me, go to the registrar one of these days. Because for months at that time, they say for months, a young lady from the Daniels was at the registrar every day doing searches, looking to see who owned land in that area. For months, that's the only job the young lady had. Come to work, go down to the registrar with an exercise book and see who owned lands from Bath, heading all the way, and that time it was only to Saddle Hill. So it did not surprise me at all when the government, the CCM administration, first of all said, here is what we are going to do. Daly was talking foolishness, that is what we said publicly. But privately, let us put $500,000 in the budget
Yeah.
for consultation on the South Coast Road, which they publicly said was foolish. And they put that money in the budget. Nobody has come to give an account as to how much of the money was spent, who was the consultant, when the consultation was done, what were the recommendations. Nobody has come back to report on that. But they are still proceeding. Not the government. Not the government. Master Stewart went to jail for insider trading. If this it does not represent insider trading, well, help me. Because there is no way I am going to believe that the premier of the island, who is the minister of finance, and who has to sign off on these land transfers and things, that he goes to sleep in a bed with the head of one of the biggest real estate firms in Nevis, and don't say, listen, you see the South Coast? This person has called and requested a meeting, and they are discussing a project in that area. This other person, remember the premier himself said he went up to New York to meet with some people who had interest in that area. You don't think that between sleep and wake, he turn over and he say, honey, you know, these people are interested in that over there. Me ain't gonna tell you, make inquiries, but it's up to you if you want to do it. Well, they're trying to fool me daily, but me not so stupid.
I believe that, well, he admitted that while there was no formal, in his words, documentation before cabinet, there was some presentation. And it's impossible to believe that based on a simple consultation, that the fair lady would have jumped to buy all that land on behalf of the same investor without knowing for sure that the premier is going to approve them. It's impossible to believe that. But gentlemen, we skipped out a very important part of the show, you know. We didn't wish anybody happy birthday.
Oh, you're right. Lord, how can we do that?
Listen, he so wants to get I so want to get to the story.
Oh, Father Jesus. And I see a query here from somebody in a faraway place asking if we're not doing the birthday list. It is my apologies. I so wanted to get into this topic. Nurse Candida Livius is celebrating today. Kel is celebrating today, not your Kel. Coming up tomorrow, Agnola Tyrrell will be celebrating a birthday. On the 4th of August, Joycey. Joycey, enjoy it when it comes.
Joycey who? Libel? Door?
Joycey knows Joycey. Joycey knows Joycey.
Okay, well.
And on Wednesday the 6th, my good friend and domino partner, Eddie, and Janice, his lovely wife Janice, will be celebrating their anniversary. My goddaughter Shariel will be celebrating her anniversary on Wednesday the 6th as well, herself and Shurik. And Sister C will be celebrating on Wednesday the 6th. And Lavina Parry, the entire Parry family, sends their love and best regards to you. So we want you to make sure that you have a good one. And this might be somebody calling in with birthday wishes. Good evening, caller. You're coming in broken though. You're breaking up. Go ahead, try again.
I want to say advance better greetings to my godfather, Ralston Jeffers, should come from his grandson, Kevin.
Thank you very much. Ralston Jeffers. When is the birthday?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Thank you very much, Kevin. Long time no see. Hope you're good. Okay. Okay, so those are who we have on the birthday list. We went full speed and forgot them. So let's sing for them.
Clear my throat a little bit there. I have a frog in my throat for some reason.
And you got to get it out, because we need you to help with the singing. I'm going to tell the technician cut last week, because they said we sang well last week.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. And as usual from us in the studio, may live to be 101, and us 101 minus a day, so we don't have to see you go. May God continue to bless you with good health, strength, and of course, wealth.
Thank you very much. Let me say good night to some excellent friends of mine. Janice, hope that you're having a good night. And Joy, you enjoy the show tonight as well. We'll behave nicely. Okay, so we were on the lands, and while we get our bearings back, maybe we should play this.
We've been hearing a lot about 17 degrees north. What is the connection between 17 degrees north and the Nevis Island administration? Is it true that representative of 17 degrees north has been approaching landowners and residents in the area of Long Point to Butlers, trying to negotiate the sale of lands there? If yes, what is the reason?
Yes, you can sell your land to whoever you want to sell it to. The government cannot stop you. But then if you're hearing that it's going to become something so private and so exclusive that perhaps, because as you say, it's rumor, perhaps I may not be able to go down there with my grandchild. I may not be able to fish. The boat may not be able to go out. That to me then falls on government to make sure it looks out for the people and let us know what's really going on in the area.
Well, I think that's fair, but as you say, you started by saying rumor, and I would be a fool as Premier to sit up here and say I'm responding to every rumor. If I had to deal with every rumor that I hear every day, I would have no time to do the actual work for the people of Nevis. So if you have rumors or you're listening to rumors, I would suggest read the Bible instead.
Maybe it's not a rumor.
Because, I am saying that we as government have no knowledge of what you're speaking because no formal proposal has come to the government. I explained that. So here you are talking about rumors, and you're asking me as Premier to respond to rumors. I say read the Bible, read Genesis. I think it's a far better use of your time.
Mr. Premier, are you confirming that it is a rumor? Are you confirming that it's a rumor and there's no truth to it?
But I don't know. Am I not speaking English? I'm trying my very best to explain that the government has no proposal before it for any development of the kind that you say is rumored. That is what I'm saying. If and when such a thing comes, consistent with our transparent approach, we will definitely come and talk about it.
But we should be concerned, shouldn't we? We should be concerned.
You should be concerned about rumors.
It may not be a rumor. We don't know. The average person, me, the individual in the community, and the reason why we're here tonight, right, is to come to people so you could hear from them. So please don't try to shut me up, okay? I have a right to speak as a Nevisian. I have a right to speak as a Gingerlander. I live in this community.
So all I can say to you is this, that I'm aware that there are investors who are looking at significant investments on the island. As I've said, when I have information, as is my style and the way that I've tried to manage the affairs of Nevis, I will definitely come. You won't have to ask me, because I will come to you and give you that information. I have no information to report as yet, except that I am aware that various investors are looking at investing on the island of Nevis. If you're going to do, Ms. Weeks, property, hotel, resort development, you can't do it without land. You're going to build it in the sky, and build it in the sea. You have to land. The Four Seasons Resort, I don't think there's any sane Nevisian, or Kittian for that matter, who would argue that the Four Seasons Resort did not catapult Nevis in terms of its development, in terms of its economy. You have nearly 1,000 people working down there. That was 30-something years ago. Where they built it on? They built it in the air, in the sky. They had to acquire land. And I believe they acquired, what, probably just about 400 acres of land to build that resort and golf course and villas. To this day, Four Seasons continue to expand. They've just announced that they're going to be doing some condominium development down there as well. My trip to New York, you're correct, I would have gone to New York. I was invited as a guest to the Boston College Wall Street alumni event, and that event would have occurred last week Wednesday. I would have therefore gone up to New York. I arrived into New York last week Tuesday late at night, and would have left on Friday morning at 4 a.m. to come back. While I was there, I attended that event, and I also attended a number of meetings associated with the Indian Castle proposed development. The event at Wall Street was very useful. It was a good networking event, and the reason for me being at Boston College's networking event, gala event in Wall Street, was really because some of the people that are involved in some projects that we are proposing for Nevis are Boston College alums. So it's all about partly tourism, partly investment and development. That was the purpose of the trip. And then, as I say, we are hopeful that we're on the home stretch to make an announcement for something at Indian Castle. And so I was there. We're working on the necessary agreements in relation to that as well.
You have come to the town hall meeting. You have premised a whole debate tonight on some rumor that you say you have been hearing. I don't know how am I supposed to respond to that. I respond to facts. I respond to situations that we are aware of that are on the ground.
Here is how you respond to that, Mr. Premier. You said in the answer to the question to Ms. Weeks that yes, you went up there to meet with some people on Wall Street, and you like to throw out these things. Listen, the Premier is a lawyer, and the Premier is very good at giving you 0.5% of the truth and clothing it, the rest of it, in a lot of bullshit. So he said, no formal proposal has come to us. He's right. Maybe nothing has come in writing. But he did say that they were working on some agreements. So what else are you working on when you say agreements? You're working on some agreements. You just meet me like Van Sandwich said somebody met him outside Bank of Nevis and gave him a proposal. So he traveled and Nevis people money to go to meet with these people in Wall Street, and they're working on some agreements which he will bring to the people of Nevis in due course. But all of this is rumors. Listen, I think for independence, Carlin must get the Independence Award.
Let me say this. Beyond the Indian Castle situation, we know for a fact that there is an entity willing and quite able to purchase 1/6 of Nevis. That is a fact. There's no doubt about that. He said there has been no formal proposal before the government regarding this fact. But you have to ask yourself a very simple question. On what basis is Mrs. Brantley going about buying these properties? On what basis?
And making offers.
A rumor? No. She's trying to buy these properties on fact.
To sell.
To sell. There's no doubt about this. He can sing and dance all he wants about it. The mere fact is, she is acting on information that the Premier, I would bet my last dollar, provided to her. Go and get yourself sorted out to get this thing done.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. Couple of things. First off, I just a small correction to your mention of Newfoundland. The reality, NIA under the CCA borrowed money from a bank in Trinidad to acquire compulsory purchase in his estate for the express purpose of selling it out to Newfoundland, and then turn around and gave them a mortgage on the purchase of those lands, effectively lending them the money to buy the land that you just borrowed money to buy. That is my understanding of what happened with the Newfoundland at Phoenix.
Cap it off nicely and give them title too.
Yeah. So when you take a mortgage, you have to give title because the mortgage is on the title. Okay? I should have mentioned that for clarity. The next thing is, I heard in it there used to be the Premier, as this is his method of operation will be transparent, and once there is a proposal on the table, he will bring it to the people. Isn't that what he did with the airport?
Correct.
But when he brought it to the people, it was a done deal.
Absolutely correct.
They talked about consultation. It wasn't consultation. It was basically dissemination of information. It was like a press conference. This is what we have done. It wasn't what do you think, do you want some input? None of that. It was, we're buying up all of this land, we're going to the airport, and this is where we're going to try and get the money from. It was an announcement. It wasn't a consultation. And so I wonder if that's the same method he's going to use should this project be put on the table of cabinet. The announcement will be made after all of the deal has been settled. Because that is the method of operation of this government.
You're quite correct.
Caller, you're coming in very garbled at times.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, is that a little better?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay, and what I'm saying is, it's how you interpret words.
Mm-hmm.
From my experience, they interpret the word consultation to mean announcement. To me, the word consultation means interactive consultation with the general public and taking their views into account as you move forward. That to me is what consultation means. But obviously it doesn't mean the same thing to other people.
Thank you very much, caller. Okay. Daly and Tolu, there is no question that despite the fact that we don't have a lot of rainfall in that area, that southern part of Nevis, where we're talking about the coastal road, and where people are now trying frantically to buy up so that they could make a killing when they unsell, it's one of the most beautiful parts of Nevis.
You know, there are beaches over there?
Yes.
You really
I've walked that area.
Okay.
I walked from Saddle Hill all the way to Bath.
I think more Nevisians, when they come home or if they live here, the road is not very good in terms of drivability unless you're on a 4x4 off-road vehicle. But it's a beautiful hike.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would suggest early morning or late afternoon, because it can get very, very hot in that area. But it's beautiful. When I walk that road, I feel like I'm on the moon. You know, it's like a moonscape there, barrel cactus there is. I mean, it's just something that you don't normally see. It's a rugged coastline because it's part Atlantic, part Caribbean. But what is hidden there are some nice coves and beaches. These people saw this and want it.
Mm-hmm.
They want it for them exclusively. They don't want to integrate into our community, you know. They want exclusivity. That's the part that gets me. That they want to come and just take 1/6 of our country, aided and abetted by the Premier and his wife. You have the highest leader on Nevis, in my view, committing treason on the people of Nevis. And that's how strongly I feel about it. Because where else do we go after now? We are going on as if that Nevis's existence ends in 20 years or 10 years. It's eternal. And we must make sure Nevis continues beyond us, centuries beyond us. And so if we are going to chop off six square miles of Nevis and give it away to some foreign entity to set up their own community, then where do we go in 50, 60, 100 years? Where do we go?
That's 6 plus 1.
Yeah.
7 square miles.
The workings of the Premier and his wife in trying to acquire these lands for whoever their clients are is another indicator along the many that are already been there that the Premier cares nothing about the people of Nevis. His interest is what is in it for me and my family, because they stand to walk away with a killing if they are able to acquire all these lands and accomplish what they want to accomplish. They're going to benefit, not with the people of Nevis. And so it has absolutely nothing to do with us. Now, when we listen to all the utterances of the Premier, it's one thing that comes to mind: deception. The hallmark of Premier Brantley is deception. He has to lie, distort, and deceive all the way through life. Not last week before last, I was in Gingerland and I received a phone call. And the person said to me, "I know Brantley father well. And while he was on his sick bed in the hospital, he called me to his bedside and said to me, 'That son of mine, Mark, is bad. He lied bad. And everybody's going to find him out. There's absolutely no good in him.' And when you have your father lying on a sick bed, and he's so aggrieved at you that he makes this pronouncement, and it is clear to me and it's clear to everybody else that the Premier is a compulsive liar, and he takes pleasure in doing it. There is no shame. When he stood in that forum with Yolanda asking him question about that coastal road and the area, and he indicated then to Yolanda that people are calling his wife to sell. I didn't see a problem with that if people has their land and she is into real estate and they're calling him to sell. Until after that, just after it, I received a call from somebody who said me, "No, they are approaching me to buy out all that I have." It's 4 persons that said to me that she is approaching them to buy out what they have.
It's just not an approaching. It's a real pressure, a pressure tactic.
Pressure.
They're getting calls from all over. Persons on Nevis, landowners, are being called. They're being, being harassed is the correct word. One person even told me they're going to seek legal advice to stop their phone calls.
Okay.
That is how harassing it is.
And the Premier is going to say this is rumor?
Yeah, I mean, this is not rumor. People don't go and look to purchase 6 square miles on rumor. I mean, that's the reality of the situation.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Powell. Good evening to Dr. Daly, and good evening to Tulu.
Good evening.
If you guys can, especially you, Mr. Powell, can take a walk with me back down memory lane. When the group came to Nevis to present to us what they wanted to do on that part of the island with the oil storage facility. What year was that, Mr. Powell? Do you remember?
This was 2012. 2011, 2012.
Okay, all right. And do you remember some of the things they proposed?
Of course. I was very involved. It was $1 billion project.
All right. And it would have gone from there all the way back to the airport, remember?
No, I don't recall that part of it. The road would have. Go ahead.
Let me explain what I meant by that. The oil storage facility was going to be supplying fuel to the Nevis airport so that airlines in this regional area can come and refuel at the airport.
I remember that part of it, but I can't recall whether or not it was going to be done by pipeline. I don't know if the details were there.
I'm not talking about the pipeline. My point was that we would not have been in the position we are right now with the airport had that project gone through, because the airport would have been producing for us.
Correct.
Right? Okay. So what is going through my head now is, did people know that this was going to be happening now, what's happening, and feverishly try to stop that project? You think so, Mr. Powell?
No,
Really?
no, no. I'm
No?
not. No, I'm not going to stretch my imagination that far. No.
Okay.
They
All right.
stopped the project because the project would have been of tremendous benefit to Nevis, and the people would have been employed and less likely to vote against the government of the day, NRP.
Okay. All right.
As I said earlier, thank you very much, caller. Very good
Wait,
observation.
hang on, Mr. Powell. I'm
Okay.
not finished yet. Give me one more quick thing. I have a big concern because I happen to be one of the people who have inherited lands from my father in that same area. And I was approached. Those lands were not for sale by me or my siblings. I was approached to purchase the lands. But the strangest thing that happened is that the land registry cannot produce the documents for my father for that area. And I've wondered over and over why. You said something earlier about someone going to the land registry for a long time to do searches every day. I know of others who can't find their documents in the land registry either for lands in that area. So what is really going on? I did not put my land up for sale. You are approaching me to buy my land. How do you know what I have there and all of the details to it if you didn't find it in the land registry? Where is it? What is really going on? Something very, very strange is going on about all these movements. And it's gonna, as the old people say, it's gonna all come out in the watch one day, huh? But it's not good for the people of Nevis. It's not good for the people of Nevis.
Thank you very much.
I'm extremely concerned about what we're hearing and seeing and listening to happening because we can't allow this to happen. We will one day wake up and have our suitcases on our backs at the same airport over there where the planes can't come, trying to get off the island because we no longer have anything here.
Thank you, caller.
Have a good night.
Don't think he's going to come to that. The people of Navy still have some riot in them. But yeah, somebody was at the land registry for months, sitting down and going through the records and making records. So they knew who to call and when to call and so on. Okay.
There's quite a bit of persons have sold, and they've been, depending on who and how astute the bargaining is. Persons have been offered as much as 10% down on the property, and as little as 1%. And those monies are not given directly to the person, but are put in escrow to be paid out at the end of 4 years.
Dr. Daly, Martin Powell was my grandmother. If I sell you something, I want my money.
Well, that is
I don't want my money in no escrow.
That is what they've been offering.
Okay.
Escrow money. I don't know the terms of the agreement, whether if the person's default or change their mind, whether you lose that money. But you're tying up my land for 4 years, and you're putting my money into escrow. But a lot of people are being, like I said earlier, pressured in all sorts of ways. Some really tactical ways to part with their land, and we should all be ashamed as divisions to be guided by a minister, by a premier and his wife who are doing this thing to us. It is not It is not good.
Where's all the money in escrow? Have any idea?
There are different people. Well, Daniel Branty has escrow agent. He's an escrow agent. So.
Hi, good evening, caller.
Dr. Daly.
Yes.
I have a question. If I approach you to buy something that you have, a car, a house, land, a pair of shoes, whatever it is, and I'm offering you a deposit, which I'm not going to hold in my hand, then you know, and I know, that's absolute nonsense. You have not paid a deposit then.
No money
If,
pass.
it, if it's funds that's going to go somewhere else to sit in a pile somewhere that you don't have, then what is it that we're negotiating? Because you're not giving me anything. I'm not giving you anything.
Yeah, true.
So what is that really all about?
Well,
Thank you very much, caller.
I have first-hand knowledge. I shouldn't say first-hand knowledge, second-hand knowledge, where this escrow situation was offered to a friend of mine. And the friend said to the agent, the real estate agent, but I don't have an escrow agent. He said, don't worry, Daniel Brantley is an escrow agent. So it's a one-stop shop. You know, you have the wife sell the land, the daughter does the alien land holding license title and application, and the premier approves it, and his law firm can do the escrow. I mean,
so about us. But when we hear about escrow, it brings to mind we had an issue with a $1.5 million.
That wasn't in escrow.
That didn't go into escrow?
No, sir.
That went straight into the land bank?
That came to the bank up there by the square. Somebody tip off somebody, it was sent back. And it came to the bank behind us here. It was never in no escrow account. That went to a personal account at the bank behind us here. So that wasn't no escrow money.
Oh boy.
Let's take a little break and come back, guys.
Pico, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS, and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. Pico, the way to go.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone-disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you'll never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
Welcome back, and let me put this on the screen right away because I want people to see what's up. We haven't changed anything, but we're now having all this terrible squeaking in our ears. Okay, let's see if this works better. Okay, we now have put on the screen for you a raffle which is run by the St. Paul's constituency group, and that raffle will be drawn on the weekend. I think it's Sunday, August 3rd. First prize, $5,000. I have, let me say, about 5 or 6 tickets left. So if you need a ticket, it's only $50. The whole set of monies add up to $10,000. St. Paul's constituency group, first prize, $5,000. I'm not just selling, I'm going to buy tickets too. Because when I win, I want to take these gentlemen to dinner. I want them to choose where they want to go. And we'll go to dinner when I win the money.
5,000 the first prize, 3,000 the second prize, and 2,000 third prize. So yes, you can buy 3 tickets and win all 10,000 if you're that lucky.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy 3 tickets. So because I want to win all 10,000.
So Gigi can buy all 3
Not
tickets?
Gigi. Gigi is banned from buying any tickets.
I wonder if that's why she ain't messaged me and sent you money. because normally she would send you money to buy tickets.
Daly has been banning her for months now, which is not good.
But Gigi been winning everything, that's the problem. She ain't left nothing.
She's blessed.
Yeah, let me tell you about something else which is happening. In celebration of the life of Miss Yvonne Annette Jeffers Taylor of Leicester in the UK in England and formerly of Cotton Ground in Nevis, the Taylor's Family Reunion Committee 2025 invites you to a memorial Thanksgiving service at the Wesleyan Holiness Church in Cotton Ground, Nevis on Sunday the 3rd of August 2025 at 4:30 p.m. They said the dress code is red, green, white, and they will be collecting a love offering, so work with a little soft collection so that you can do that. Yvonne was somebody who was online. It doesn't matter what was happening at 2020 Vision Radio. And she often found the means to send us a little £2 here and there as well. So to help to keep us on the air, so we will be having a memorial service on Sunday, the 3rd of August 2025 at 4:30 p.m. And they promised me that it's not going to last more than an hour and a half, so we're going to be gone by 6. So let's go out and remember Yvonne. Remember, I will be at the all-white affair from noon. So I am dressing one time to go to the all-white affair. That is going to be down there at occasions. Is all white. Last day was fantastic. So I suppose that is going to be even better this year. And then when that finishes at 4 o'clock, I'm not hanging around. I'm going straight to Cotton Ground to celebrate the life of Yvonne. So I hope that I'll see a lot of people there to celebrate the life of Yvonne. Gentlemen, the Premier, every time he's rattled, he goes on a cussing mission. And my good people tells me that last night he cussed from start to finish. He cussed everybody. He cussed Parry, he cussed NRP, he cussed himself. He just didn't cuss his mother and his father, but he cussed everybody else in between. He had an issue because Mr. Parry was on another program, another radio station, and gave his views on some matters. Part of his challenge is his inability to deliver on fair share. That has been squeezing the life out of Mark Brantley, because that is something that he campaigned on in 2015. He managed to convince the people of Nevis that they were not getting their fair share. Now, they have had some people doing a poll for them on the ground. Jesus Christ, the results have not been good to see.
Leave Jesus out.
Now I got to bring Jesus in. They say Jesus know everything before you're born. You know? So you're not going to tell me when to bring him in and when to leave him out. If Jesus know everything before you're born, he involved in this. So they have been doing polls. They have some people here who they are paying from the treasury in Nevis, but working strictly for CCM, who told them that, go and do town hall meetings, you go out, look for local businesses, go and take pictures, don't buy nothing from them, don't support them, but go out there and pretend that you like them and so on, and see if this could boost your image. But CCM, since the last election, has been running on empty. They just, no matter what they do, they're running flat. Which suggests to me that the people of Nevis have had enough. They just have had enough of CCM, and they are staying far away from them. Everything, even including this cultural armor, just flat like a pancake. Flat like a poor man pancake. Flat, flat, flat. So, last night he went into one of his cussing sessions. But hear the joke. Let's deal with the fair share thing next. And when we're dealing with the fair share thing, let's hear first of all from the Prime Minister.
Another question was asked with respect to the fair share. As I said, this is a question that has been asked of me since I became Prime Minister. And I answered that question that we had engaged. The World Bank was engaged. And I insisted that that must be completed, because the issue of fair share had become a big issue, example, for the 2015 elections. Fair share was the mantra. For 7 years during that time, there had not been an independent, verified study as to how revenue should be shared between St. Kitts and Nevis. Of course, the Constitution has a formula when it comes to revenues from taxes. I think the issue was over non-tax revenue, specifically revenues that were had through the CBI program. We asked the World Bank to look at it. The World Bank has completed its study. That study has been passed on to the Premier and to the Nevis Island administration, and I know they're having the internal discussions. We, as the federal cabinet, will meet with the Nevis Island administration to discuss that study and to look at the recommendation from the World Bank, or recommendations. But it is done, and it is with the Nevis Island administration. We have our copy, and I think we're going to meet very, very soon. I think within a week or two, very, very soon. And the objective is to make that available to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. And the reason why I wanted the World Bank to do that, a reputable organization, an organization that cannot be fooled. These are not simpletons. This organization is platinum in its class in terms of assessment of economies and these type of questions that are asked. And that is why I think it was appropriate to ask the World Bank. And I said, whatever the World Bank comes back with is what we will take into serious consideration to settle this matter of fair share. It will not come from my cabinet or from anybody that I appoint, but the World Bank, which is totally independent and has no skin in the game, will give us a platform on which to determine how this should actually be done. Mind you again, the Constitution has a formula, but the question has been asked and raised, and therefore that is what we...
Gentlemen, bear with me because I want to play a couple more clips. That is the Prime Minister. The Fair Share report has been in the Federation since the first quarter of this year. St. Kitts studied it, took the time, put it in a safe, and when they felt the time was right, they handed it over to Nevis. Nevis got it, played the fool with it. The Premier said they ain't got no time to look at it. And then, when the 23rd of July is when the Prime Minister made his statement, that statement. Mark Brantley had a press conference the same time, exact same time. And he didn't deny that they had the Fair Share report for a long time. But all of a sudden, he wanted to rabble-rouse and to put Nevis against St. Kitts, like when you have two children in the house and you want them to keep fighting. So the Premier came up with this.
Fair Share report, no consultation with the NIA. I can confirm that, and this is what has led us, I think, to questioning some of the numbers, because our people are not consulted. Which again begs the question, if you're trying to do something to solve a problem, why not engage and consult? Because our people in the Ministry of Finance, all they made reference to in the report were budget numbers that they claim came from the budget. And I say they claim because we're having a difficulty reconciling the numbers. But there was no consultation with the NIA on this process. And so that is definitely going to be one of the talking points as we engage with the national government, with the Prime Minister and his team. What I can say, though, Ms. Hewlett, is that we do see that there is some appetite at the national level to resolve this issue, and I will definitely try to have a resolution to it for the best interest of the people of Nevis, but also to remove that whole issue of rancor between the two islands, that whole question of how resources are being shared. And I emphasize here, as I always say to my Kittitian friends, I'm not interested in your tax money. If the businessman in Cairn is doing well and generating tax for the national government, for the government in St. Kitts, more power to him.
That's the Premier of Nevis. He's not interested in the rancor. You want to remove the rancor. But here is he sticking Russell. World Bank came down here and consulted with St. Kitts and nobody consulted with Nevis.
That's true.
That is what the Premier is saying. I don't believe it for 1 minute. You're talking about the World Bank, who came in to deal with a situation between two separate islands in one federation. That is not how the World Bank operates. if they came in here to do this, I have every reason to believe that they would consult with both St. Kitts, the federal government in St. Kitts, and the Nevis Island administration. I don't believe that this is how the World Bank operate. Not for 1 minute. But let's move on. The only thing, listen, after all this time, the only thing the Premier could come up with, we don't trust the numbers because they didn't consult with us. And so after that, Mr. Parry was on a program earlier this week, and Mr. Parry made a statement.
So what is your view in terms of, would this be resolved any time?
It has
Do you think so?
And I am not sure what the World Bank has suggested, because that has never been made public, and neither the Premier nor the Prime Minister has said enough for me to have an opinion. But certainly you cannot continue two administrations or a federal government to the Nevis Island government and have this wrangling taking place. And apart from that, it provides a kind of advantage to certain politicians or political parties who try to exploit it by appealing to Nevision rancor and to Nevision suspicion towards St. Kitts. In other words, fair share has been used as an election stunt to rile up Nevisians into voting for a particular party. And that really does not make too much sense, because this is 2025 and the matter has not been resolved. The people who spoke about fair share were in a federal government in 2015. As far as I know, the matter was never brought up in cabinet. That is what Timothy Harris said, and Prime Minister Harris. It never was not brought up. If you campaigned on fair share, and we have to look into what they really meant by fair share, but just look at the expression. If you campaigned on fair share, why is it when you form the government and you are part of a government of national salvation, and you know you are an important part of that government, why didn't you bring it up in cabinet? Why did not you have the matter discussed in the House of Assembly? It was never discussed. So the question is, was the CCM party serious about fair share? I cannot say yes, because nothing was done. In fact, it seemed to me that basically if Nevis had a financial problem, the Prime Minister and the Premier will talk and monies will be made available. I don't know the exact figure, but I am told that some $5 million comes to Nevis every month. I don't know. I can't.
5.5 million.
5.5 million.
Yes.
And that was that arrangement. I don't know if it was a subsidy or if it was fair share or whatever it was.
Gentlemen, before we get into the discussions, let me put on record the fact that CCM has been out there peddling this nonsense that NRP is against fair share and that NRP is not helping the CCM to fight for fair share. The truth is that CCM don't even have a clue what is fair share. They know the language because they put it into that document which they use during the election campaign. Mr. Parry hit the nail on its head. He, Mark Brantley, was part of a government for 70 years and never got the issue introduced into cabinet. Hold the calls for me a minute, please. Hold the calls for me a minute, because I want to read something into the record. Hold the calls for me, please. No. He said that NRP has not been interested in this fair share business and has not helped CCM. So let me read a letter. Let me take the call first and then I'll read the letter. Hi, good evening, caller. Caller, okay, the caller left. Hold the calls. Let me just read this letter. This letter is dated the 31st of March 2022. Mark Brantley and CCM and their devil imps are out there peddling on social media that NRP is not interested in fair share. Let me read a letter from the 31st of March 2022. Addressed to Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris, Prime Minister, Office of the Prime Minister, Government Headquarters, Basti, St. Kitts. Dear Prime Minister Harris, I write on behalf of the Nevis Reformation Party, NRP, regarding the political tragedy in our beloved country. The rancor and vitriolic discourse on display paints the country in a very bad light both locally and internationally. The NRP has listened to the concerns about Nevis's fair share raised by Premier Mark Brantley and Deputy Prime Minister Sean Richards. It appears that the primary issue at the heart of this bitter discourse is the discretionary approach taken to distribute the citizenship by investment CBI revenues between St. Kitts and Nevis. The NRP agrees that there must be an equitable distribution of federal funds between the two islands. However, the NRP strongly condemns the public displays of disrespect being used as a strategy to bring about such equitable distributions. NRP hereby recommends that the current impasse be settled once and for all by using parliamentary procedures. To that end, the NRP respectfully submits for consideration by your cabinet the suggestion that the St. Kitts Nevis Revenue Share Bill be introduced for debate in the National Assembly. The NRP further suggests that this bill be grounded in the foundation of Section 110 of the St. Christopher and Nevis Constitution. This bill should not be short-sighted and only address citizenship by investment revenues. This is because of the uncertain climate that currently exists worldwide and the possibility that the CBI revenues may have a definable shelf life. Therefore, all government revenues must be addressed in this bill. The NRP further suggests that in the spirit of fairness and transparency, a commission be established comprised of representatives from the Nevis Reformation Party, NRP, the Concerned Citizens Movement, CCM, the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, SKNLP, the People's Action Movement, PAM, the People's Labour Party, PLP, and independent external consultants to be involved in the consultation process for the drafting of this bill. Successful passage of this bill would mean, regardless of which political parties are in government, this matter should never again be a cause for political tension between the good peoples of our federation. Respectfully, Dr. Janice Daniel Hodge, political leader, Nevis Reformation Party. Copied to Honorable Sean Richards, Deputy Prime Minister and leader of PAM, Honorable Mark Brantley, Premier of Nevis and leader of CCM, Dr. Terence Drew, leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. And I had to put that on record because when you hear Mark Brantley and his people talking this rubbish that NRP has never assisted in trying to find a solution to fair share, Mark Brantley had in his record a letter that was dated the 31st of March, 2022, more than 3 years ago. He knows that he was copied on this letter. He is fully aware of it. But Mark Brantley does not know how to tell the truth.
Cannot.
This matter of fair share has many moving parts. You have the reputation of the World Bank, and I think they do need to respond to the claims by the Premier, whether they were consulted or not. You have the claim by Dr. Drew that he wanted a reputable institution such as the World Bank to do the assessment as to fair share, a position that Brantley never protested against. He protested against it when Timothy Harris proposed it.
True.
But never protested against it once Dr. Drew did. All right. You want to take it?
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen. Just for a little bit of historical record on theory. Under Premier Parry, VAT was brought in and a sharing agreement was agreed between the federal government and the NIA. And they brought in consultants regional And they came up with a formula. And in fact, Nevis got a larger share than the population. The proportion was larger than the proportion of population of total VAT receipts. And that was a form of fair share. And that was negotiated and implemented under Joseph Parry as our premier. When the CCM took power, what they did is they said, we don't want this fair share. You can keep the extra 3 million a month. All right? We will just keep the VAT receipts less than 3 million. That was one instance. The next one is the Japanese had put down 2, maybe 3 fisheries complexes in Trinkets. And there was much noise about where's the one for Nevis. So, under, again, Joseph Parry-led NIA, it was negotiated with the Japanese, and the plans, everything was done. It was shovel-ready, right, to have a fisheries complex in Charlestown and Gallows Bay. The government changed it, and they evaporated. So my question is, when you look at track record of CCM regarding this fair share thing, do they actually want it?
No.
Because they had it twice and got rid of it. They turned their back on it. They had it with the VAT, and they threw away $3 million a month. They had it with the fisheries complex, which was how much? $30 million?
30 million.
And they threw that away. So I question whether they actually want fair share, because the 2 instances where we've actually achieved it, they neglected it, they threw it away. So if you look historically, it suggests that the CCM is not actually interested in fair share at all.
You're quite right.
So I think the people should see that and understand that it's not something that they're interested in, because they had it in their hand, and they threw it away.
Twice.
So there you go.
Thank you very much, caller. Let's go straight to the other line. Good evening, caller. Okay, that person left. You can call again. It's ringing. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, gentlemen.
How are you tonight?
I'm giving God thanks. Now, the conversation is about fair share. But let me tell you something. There was a saying, what you see is what you get. And you ain't see nothing yet. And that simply means, what I'm saying is not what I mean. Follow the action. Now we're talking about fair share, right? But during the fair share conversation, leading up to the election in Nevis, the CCM supporters were saying, yeah, we got them. The balance of power is in Nevis. We make sure we don't win all 3 seats. When they win all 3 seats, no party in Sinkits was supposed to win 6. So therefore, the balance of power. And I believe, having said fair share about money, was fair share about something else. I don't know what was the balance of power. I don't know who it was for, but that was the argument in Nevis. Because if we go back, we remember the wonderful relationship with the Prime Minister and the Premier. It has never been better. All of a sudden, everything breaks down. That was convenient. Nothing but convenience. Because guess what? Let we go back to the polls. There was a reason to go back to the polls. It appears to me that Pam wasn't reading the play. Because you know what? Whatever the former Prime Minister would have been doing, they had over 2 years to continue to work themselves up, whilst the Prime Minister worked himself up. At the end of 5 years, we go back to the polls. They must have get something done in the constituents. But somebody lead them astray. Me don't know who it be and me don't care who it is. Somebody lead them astray. Fair share. Fair share? Let me tell you something. I could tell you that the moon is falling. You either believe or you don't believe. And so when you hear this fair share conversation, we need to look at the action. Listen to the people on the ground. And them in a say that the balance of power can be Nevis. The first Prime Minister from St. Kitts Nevis can be a Nevijan. And I believe, looking at the behavior after over 7 years in government, and not putting nothing forward for fair share, you realize it was the money issue for some people. We was reading the play wrong. Good night and goodbye.
Thank you very much, caller. I think you got a point. Let's play the ads and come back.
Do you know what you're drinking? If you are drinking plastic bottled water, chances are you're consuming plastic contaminants, BPA, and other hormone disrupting chemicals you cannot see with your naked eye. Those empty plastic bottles take up to 450 years to decompose. In the meantime, plastic bottles are polluting the environment. They are dangerous to the planet and our health. The safer solution is to acquire your own Kangen alkaline water filtration system, and you will never have to buy toxic bottled water again. Help save the planet and drink clean water for less than the price you'll pay for acid plastic bottled water over the next few years. The Kangen technology is the world's most popular, most acquired water immunizer. For more information, you can call or WhatsApp us on 917-207-1307. That's 917-207-1307. Change your water, change your life.
PICO, the way to go for residential, commercial, and industrial wiring, data, security, UPS and generator installation. When you need electrical work done now, done right, done at an affordable price, contact Finney's Electrical Company. Call or WhatsApp 665-1916 or email pico_1166@yahoo.com. PICO, the way to go.
We're back with you, and we still have another 38 minutes to go on the show. Let me remind you that the Youth Army Nevis is also having a raffle, 42nd anniversary of independence raffle, and I don't know how they get it, but they got 42 prizes and some pretty impressive prizes as well. Those tickets are available, and I want you to make sure that you get in and get some of those winnings as well. Since I've been talking to you, I've already sold some raffle tickets tonight, and I want to continue to sell raffle tickets for that $5,000 raffle. It's actually $10,000. And listen to me, I want to make sure that I sell more tickets than Dr. Daly and Tulu. So I'll buy your tickets from me. Tulu, you're not selling tickets? I'm selling tickets. I'll make sure that I'll buy tickets from Carlisle Powell so that I can help the St. Paul's branch. Listen, nothing would sweet me more than the next election in RP win all 5 seats. And that is entirely possible. It's the worst government I've ever seen any time in the history of Nevis. Being led by an incompetent fella who just a braggadocio. You know, you hear how we cuss a Harry last night? Tolu didn't hear.
Bring poor Joe, Jungle Warrior, out of retirement. I don't tell my cousin, Joseph Perry, he like to save your family. I said, Joe, don't let nobody dress you up. Put on your Sunday hard shoe and talk about you going on radio and television for no politics. You're retired now. Be a statesman. Stay above the fray. Joe, when you were the Jungle Warrior, and you're not the Jungle Warrior anymore, you get the licking of your lifetime. You get so much blows as a Jungle Warrior that you run out of politics. Run out and ask Spoke Leon to come in to replace you. You couldn't take the heat. So why now, Joe, are you allowing these people to dress you up and tell you Bogo talk and radio and things like that? So somebody sent me something today. And here is...
Listen to me. I am normally very, very nice when I talk about the Premier and so on, and I respect the office of the Premier. But Mark is an ass. I can't put him any better than that. I mean, he's ready now to talk about Jungle Warrior and jump on Joseph Parry. Let me tell you how we jump on Timothy Harris. It is the best government we have ever had in the whole life. It's the best leader we ever had. That's why he talked about Timothy Harris.
He was a genius.
Oh, yes. And you know, he sat down in a conference and heard the Right Honorable Dr. Simmons. He had a thing to say about Simmons. But Joseph Parry opened his mouth, and Joseph Parry didn't tell the truth and said that is the worst premier ever in the history of Nevis. Parry didn't go so far, but he wanted to jump on Joseph Parry. Mark Brantley, boy, I'm sorry for you. But sympathy without help is Macri, so is Mac in you. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Mr. Powell. What is a fair share? Mr. Brantley and his concerned citizen movement in 2015 had the balance of power. He could do anything with Dr. Timothy Harris, could do anything with the Sinkis Nevis Labour Party and the Nevis Reformation Party. He didn't want any help from the Nevis Reformation Party. He could go and demand what he wants. What is a fair share? He gets so much money that he don't even know what he gets. The Honorable Timothy Harris said, Mark is a bad spender. He's a bad spender. And Nevis people should look into it. And we should get together and move the concerned citizen movement government out of office. They are there too long. They're sitting on the laurels and they're relaxing because Nevis people is sitting down with them, lobby with them, sit down with them and talk with them. Get them out of there. It is time to go. It is time for them to go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. I think I have somebody on the other line holding. Good evening, caller.
Yes, good evening, Mr. Porritt.
How are you?
Mr. Porritt, I'm listening to the program. I just want to say something. I remember some years ago, the late Vance Emery said something in the House of Assembly to Mr. Cozier, in which some people think it was a joke. Here is where I realized that the people of the concerned citizens movement think that they have a license to disrespect nations. Vance Emery did it then, and it was a deafening silence throughout Nevis in particular. Nobody chastised him and said to him, you sit in the office of the premier, and what you did there, you should not have done it, and you need to apologize to the gentleman who you said what you said to, and moreover to the people of Nevis. I don't know if you guys realize that it is continuing now with the now present premier. Anybody who tries to say to him that this is not looking good on behalf of the people of Nevis, he feels as if he has the right to disrespect and use disrespectful words to the people of Nevis. I think that the people of Nevis has to realize that we are Nevisians here, and if you put yourself up for public office, everybody is not going to support you, and when the people criticize you, you must have respect. You never heard anything like such from any of the premiers who were premier in Nevis from the Nevis Reformation Party side. I think that the people of Nevis need to look into this, and we need to take a stand and say enough is enough, and we are not going to take this anymore. The office of the premier needs to be respected, and if the premier will not serve in the office and respect himself, we will have to do something to get him out of here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We go straight to the other line. Good evening, caller. Oh, that caller left as well. Okay. Gentlemen, it was just drawn to my attention that Mark Brantley keeps saying that he didn't have an agreement with Drew for fair share.
Mm-hmm.
But listen, there is no agreement. I am not having any agreement with any person, you know. I want to have an agreement with the country for fair share. This is not with Dr. Drew. So he had an agreement with Timothy, or he might have an agreement with somebody. This is an agreement between the country. It doesn't matter who is the leader of the country. That is why we keep saying that he should have been taken to Parliament. Caller, good evening.
Caller, good evening. Daily, good evening. And Tulu, good evening. I am calling in to express my concern about the fair share issue. Now, we have heard this terminology, these words being expressed over and over again. But we really do not understand what the fair share is, because we don't know. You're going to the other side or the government in sync is saying that we're not getting fair share, but how do we know what is fair if no one expresses or said to you what we are sharing and the amount that we are sharing? So, for example, the CBI program is at the core of this issue here. Now, if we don't know the amount of revenues collected for the CBI program, how do we advance an argument about fair share and not getting fair share? We'll have to find that out. And as you know, this is something that is top secret and has been so for years. We never seem to know the amount of revenues collected on the CBI program to advance that argument. But it's an argument that stirs up the emotions of Nivisians and for political reasons. Number two, on the matter of the World Bank, I worked at the World Bank for a number of years. And the little that I know, the World Bank doesn't operate in that fashion. So I find it incredulous that the World Bank will do an assessment of the CBI program and don't involve all the stakeholders, the key stakeholders in this exercise. And so Mr. Brantley's remarks calls into question the World Bank's reputation. And what will happen? The World Bank will not respond to Mark Brantley and his comments because the World Bank will try as much as possible to stay out of domestic affairs because they want to be seen as an impartial party. But I find it so unbelievable that an important matter like this, Mark wouldn't ensure or insist or make it his point of duty to represent the people of Nevis and to be at the table for such discussion, or to have representation from his Ministry of Finance and whichever other department. Such study, as I know, would have been done by probably the macroeconomics division of the World Bank, and those people, those economists who focus on the Caribbean more than likely would have been involved. The other matter, too, is that, you see, he's able to make these kind of statements because the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, and like any other government, is not obligated to make the report public. It's at their discretion. And the World Bank cannot enforce or make the government release the information. This is an entity or an institution that will come in, do their work, submit the report to the government, and the government can decide what they want to do with the report. So we may not be getting the truth of the matter because on both sides, they can spin and create a narrative that suits their purpose. So on the Nevis end, Mark may be making claims that he was not involved and the numbers don't look good, or the numbers doesn't reconcile with what he has. And on the other end, Mr. Prime Minister could be saying something else. We would only know if we're able to get a copy of this report from the institution.
No, but Dr. Drew did say that the intention was to make the report public.
Well, I hope Dr. Drew, in the spirit of transparency, can make it public so we in Nevis can really understand what is in the report. Because if left to Mark Brantley alone, we will never get the truth.
Thank you very much, Carla.
Let me say something. Whether Brantley was consulted on the formation of the report, to me the cart is already before the horse. Dr. Drew would have written to the World Bank asking for their expertise in crafting a report regarding the fair share. we first must get sight of the letter that Dr. Drew wrote. It is clear that Mark Brantley was not consulted.
Doesn't seem so.
On that initial letter.
He's still out in the yard.
And so the World Bank wrote their report based on the parameters asked by Dr. Drew. And we are not yet focused on that initial question. What was the letter? I want to see the letter that Dr. Drew wrote to the World Bank.
Fair enough.
What were the terms of reference? What were the parameters set down for the World Bank to do their report?
Fair enough. Stick up in, Daily. Good evening, caller.
Good evening, Carly.
How are you?
And Tulu and Daily. How are you?
Tremendous.
Carly, I listened to the interview with the former premier, and he was excellent. Then they can walk in Perry shoes. Mr. Perry said he. Otherwise, he'd have got to the slaughter if Perry didn't slay. Because a lot of questions posed to Mr. Perry, and Mr. Perry said he don't want to get into them children politics no more. Perry saved him. And the question of the report, Dr. Drew and the lying boy over there is telling lies. The report should be made available to the public. And we, as voters in the Federation on both sides, should make sure it happens. We should rush them to make it happen. I'm telling you, Carla, you see you? Don't back down from them, And Mr. Daly, don't back down. Come to us with the truth. That is what killing him, That is what killing. He go out try to disrespect Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry up there, although Perry left politics, he up there. Perry don't tell lies. Mark telling us a lot of lies. Have a good night, Carly.
You have a very good night. Yes.
Carly,
yes.
I want to thank you for giving us ball by ball in the last test series deal. Yeah,
Oh,
because
yes.
big radio station ain't doing it, but me little 2020 doing it. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Pray for this country.
Yeah, we try.
Let me say.
Yeah, go ahead, Daly.
So the whole premise of this report is based on what Dr. Drew asked them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So without having sight of that letter, we're really not in any close to understanding what the World Bank was asked to do. That's the first point. Dr. Drew and his predecessor, Dr. Harris, would have said, listen, we want the World Bank to do it because we don't want to say our hands had anything to do with it. But they do have something to do with it, especially Dr. Drew, because they are the ones who set out the terms of which the World Bank would have crafted the report. What they don't want to do is to take responsibility for the bludgeoning that Nevis is going to take from this report. They want to stand back and say, the World Bank is credible, it's a credible document, their reputation is unvarnished, is uncontestable. And they've already started creating that premise that this document is incontestable because it was done by the World Bank. Fine. But the World Bank, again, is responding to what Dr. Drew, without the input of Mr. Brantley, set out. Dr. Drew was clever enough to realize that he can now use this document as a cudgel to beat the life out of Nevis because, one, we are, as Indonesians, we are creating the idea that the World Bank is incontestable, that they are working, they don't have any skin in the game, as Dr. Drew said. That may be true. But the parameters were set out by Dr. Drew. Had Brantley got off his backside and insist on being party and a fair and equal party in crafting that letter to the World Bank, we might have been in a different space. But One man crafted it. The document is before us. Dr. Drew said he believes in the document because it comes from a credible source. So he now has a sanitized tool, a scalpel, to start trimming away at everything that Nevis should get.
I heard your argument. I love your argument, but I'm going to add it. The moment Dr. Drew came out and said that he had referred this matter to the World Bank to investigate and to come up, Mark Brantley should have been saying to us immediately after Dr. Drew, well, how come you gone to World Bank and didn't consult me? Why wait until the report came back into his hands and he has looked into it and see what's inside there and say he wasn't consulted? He should have done that at the top.
Let me tell you something.
The man is just lazy and weak.
Let me tell you something.
Incompetent.
Mark Brantley and the people of Nevis, having not been a part or parcel of the crafting of the letter by Dr. Drew, and based on Brantley's summary that these numbers don't make any sense, whatever it is.
I don't believe him.
Whether we choose to believe him or not. But the horse was let out from that letter.
And I'm going to blame Mark.
Of course you have to. But the only thing now, what is the solution? Because if Dr. Drew is standing by the World Bank report, and it seems to be favoring what Dr. Drew is asking, then what is the response from Nevis and the Visions? What is the response of the Premier?
Stick up in.
You can only say one thing. I totally and unequivocally reject this report.
Okay.
End of story.
Thank you very much. Good evening, caller.
Good night to
Night.
you folks in the studio. I would start by saying we have a lazy leadership. And this is the problem that Nevis is facing these days. And one of the things that bothers me a lot is you can't wear two hats. You cannot be a premier and still be an opposition leader. How does the people, and I asked a question before, how does the people in the Federation, how does they get the information from the opposition leader? Nothing going to happen, because when we give from these media good information, like the fall farm, the fall farm thing, the geothermal, and all these kind of things here, they're being opposed, and this is why the country is where it is today. We lack of leadership. We lack of caring leadership. There's nobody to help us out, the people of Nevis. Now, something was said there which I like in our leader's letter that she wrote, that she mentioned about all the parties should be involved in that fair share thing, and that is a good way to go. Now, somebody, he said also that asking the Nevis Reformation Party twice. He gets the report. Did he, since he got the report in his hand, did he call the opposition leader and tell him, well, this is the report that we have, what can you do? Did he ask a question about it? Did he call her in and show you?
No, sir. Remember, CCM says that she's a nobody.
This is what I'm saying. But she is representing Nevis. Not only CCM, she's representing Nevis, the people of Nevis. But I'll go further. She's also representing the Federation because she's a leader of a political party. And this is what, as soon as something is being said, instead of act upon what is being said, they are criticized. That's not good leadership. You listen to hear what people say, hear what they're coming with, and then you can act upon it. You just get up and go down by a fall farm and say, okay, and I have to bring this, let me see if I could bring it. And then what is happening? That thing you get out the foot, get going until maybe about a year or two. It might very well take an happy to do it, because they put the man who have the know-how aside, put him aside and they're going to call people from Trinidad or elsewhere to run with the thing. You have people right on the ground. And several times I hear Kel say that he'll be willing to offer his service to the people of Nevis. That is what we want. We want people who will help Nevis on, not those who want to sit back and say, boy, nothing at this home, let me back up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let me, at this point, reach out and give condolences to the Perkins family. Heard today that Surpriser passed away. So reach out to the Perkins family and share our love and support with them. We're showing 9:46, which means that we are going to go into closing just now. If you're going to call, you're going to have to condense whatever you have to say tight. You got to keep it nice and tight, because I can soca monarch. Good evening, caller.
Yes, Mr. Powell. One last word. The Premier of Nevis, I was told some time ago, he went on the radio and talked about the Madden's stock farm. The wire was cut down, torn down. The wire wasn't cut by anybody. The siblings from the southeast of Nevis, Mr. Kelvin Dale, Dr. Kelvin Dale is there. He was an agriculture officer. He was a permanent secretary. He experienced some problem on the shoreline with the agriculture sector. Nobody cut the wire. The wire was devastated by the sea blast, the weather. And when you come to maintain in this place, nobody maintain. The agriculture people in the city and the robbers, they blaming the government minister and the government agriculture officers for everything. Let the officers go there and see the condition of Madden's fence. Twice I have to go there to rescue them out of danger. James David had to go and rescue them with the animals. I don't want Madden animals to go like Indian Castle. Have a good night.
Have a good night, sir. Listen, the Premier of Nevis is out of his depth. Maybe he thought that by contesting the politics and by being in the politics, he could get some power. That's what he wanted, really and truly. Power. He was never interested in working for the people of Nevis. No Premier, no leader of Nevis has had as much money as this current Premier that we have. Nobody has wasted more money than him. Nevis is running on fumes. He said it, not me. Nevis is broke. And things are not going to get any better under this Premier.
No.
I mean, we just came out of Culturama 50, where they spent a whole truckload of money, but nobody remembered there was going to be a Culturama 51.
Mr. Powell,
52.
Mr. Powell, how long you known Premier Perry?
All my life.
Tulu, how long you known Premier Perry?
It's a long time.
He taught me in school, in high school.
Long time.
I've never ever considered it calling him Joe or Joseph.
No.
Out of respect.
Mr. Perry.
He's an elder. He's a statesman. You don't want to address, even if they give you permission, this idea you can call the former Premier Joe. He spoke to Joe.
But he want to talk down.
Exactly, that's what he's doing. And I find it so offensive that he can refer to a person of the stature of Mr. Perry as Joe. He spoke to Joe and tell Joe and threaten Joe. But let me say this. Going back again to the point that I made. The Dr. Drew
Caller, you got to keep it tight because we're running out of time.
Yeah, quick and short, Good night.
Night.
I can't understand why we as a people taking all this respect from the neighbor man there. You want me to say again tonight? System and a piece of supporters, people who live on the island here. Let the man go home. Wrong with the place, go away guy. Disrespectful, no got no manners to the office at the whole. Good night.
Thank you very much. We have another caller. Caller, keep it tight. We're running out of time. Hi, good night, caller.
Good night.
Night.
I ask you a question. I don't know, relate to me. Does Mr. Perry
have boy children, man children.
He's a man now. Owen is a man.
Huh?
Yes, he does. He has a son.
Well, my friend, I don't know what's going on up there, but the people up there seem to be, you guys are afraid of this guy. If that was my father, and he talking about my father, like I'd have frightened him. Are you playing with this guy too much?
Listen, I must tell you that. No, I
today.
must tell you that I don't.
Somebody need to struck you up.
No, I don't like violence, and I'm not going to talk violence against anybody, no matter how bad and wicked they are.
I'm talking of violence, Caleb.
Okay, no, I'm just putting it on record. Eric Williams used to say, "Lady Jackass Bray." Lay talk. You want to talk? Lay talk.
He was gonna jackass.
What?
Good night.
Yeah. What we have here, gentlemen, is a situation where the World Bank report is being hidden thus far from the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
By the Premier and the Prime Minister.
By the Premier and the Prime Minister. So what they're really alluding to or guiding or suggesting is that we should trust them to decide what is best for us. The World Bank again now gives Dr. Jew and Mark Brantley the legitimacy they need to dig Nevis however they want, to take whatever the measures they need against division. That document there, Dr. Drew keeps stressing, it's valid, it's a World Bank report beyond contestation. And it's a dangerous statement to make because we do not know what the premise is on which the World Bank made a report. We can't escape that. We have always to go back to the premise on which the World Bank crafted that report to see whether it was fairly done or not. Everything else after the fact is irrelevant as we speak. Because if we are going to give credibility to the World Bank, and I have no reason to doubt their credibility, then we must have sight of what they were asked to do. I can't make this any clearer. This is critically important. We can't now start examining the report as if it exists by itself. It exists because somebody gave directions of how they want this thing done. So if the directions were not in our favor, how can we accept it and discuss it? It's a non-starter. And that's what I'm saying. Without having sight or agreement on the framework at which the World Bank was asked to craft a report, we have nothing to work with. Because I can't understand how anybody will be so stupid to sit there knowing the critical nature of this fair share, knowing that we campaigned in 2015 for it. We created the Charleston Accord on fair share, and sit back and not be interested in helping helping to craft the letter to World Bank.
But the next thing you can say is that he didn't know that they were here doing the study.
Well, he can claim that.
He might try.
He can claim that as much as he wants. The fact remains he was not intimate with the crafting of the letter that Dr. Drew sent off to the World Bank. That is where everything must start. Not after the report, before the report. Before the report. Put the cart before the horse. Not the other way around. We must now have sight of that letter. What did Dr. Drew ask the World Bank? How did he ask the World Bank to dissect out all of the finances that Nevis gets? Whether it's PAP, STEP, CBI, whatever support, social services support, whatever. We need to see what Dr. Drew asked them to do. How can we then criticize the report when it comes without knowing what they were asked to do? It's foolish. It's a non-starter. And that is where Brantley Nobody can convince me that anybody can be so stupid.
He is.
That they are going to allow this to happen. Listen, the reason, what's his name there, Brantley is now going after the emotional intelligence of Nigerians. Again. To deal with something he should have dealt with months and years ago with fair share.
Years ago.
Crafting a letter to begin with. He's now appealing, having lost the argument with fair share. He's now saying to Nigerians, I was not consulted. I had none to do this. These numbers don't make sense. Where the hell was he when the letter was being crafted to send to the World Bank?
Consulting with the Prime Minister.
Where was he?
Consulting with the
This
Prime
is
Minister.
where we need to hold him, because nobody could ever convince me, Khaled Powell, that any one person can be so stupid.
He is that stupid.
No, I can't believe that.
He is that stupid.
And the reason I can't believe it, because if he knew the letter was going to the World Bank, and it was clear, his predecessor said it, Dr. Harris, he criticized him. He said, we could do it right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We got 6 farmers who can do it. Dr. G came in and said, I'm going to the World Bank. He never said a word.
And you're telling me
he
stupid?
never created any fuss.
Is he stupid?
All right? No. Here the thing is, the report is come back. What is it? What is its fallback?
I didn't know.
No. That's not his fallback. Its fallback is that
nobody consult me.
Nobody consult me.
I didn't know what's going on.
And this document here, we're going to be discussing the intricacies of it. Just what are you going to discuss? The die has been cast. You have given Dr. Drew every legal avenue to crucify us here in Nevis.
Crucify.
That's what he has done.
They have crucified us.
Dr. Daly, I'll take that as your closing statements, because
Yes.
we're at 9:57. Tulu?
I see it the other way. The Concerned Citizens Movement has been crucifying the people of Nevis. The moment they pulled out of the revenue sharing mechanism that is enshrined in the Constitution, then they came back and they doubled down and pulled out of the VAT sharing mechanism. They have been crucifying Nevis, but you are right. Mark Brantley sat in a government with Dr. Harris, having crafted, according to him, by his hard work, a fair share mechanism, 2015. When they got into government, Van Sam was the premier. According to Mr. Harris, Vance Amri came and said to him, I want $30,000, not fair share. I want $30 million per year. He got it. Mark Brantley, who crafted that document, according to Harris, when Mark Brantley became the premier, Mark Brantley came and said, I want 45. He gave him. Mark Brantley didn't argue for fair share. Then again he said that Mark Brantley came back to him and said he want more, and he brought it up to 62. Mark Brantley never mentioned fair share in the cabinet that he was a part of. Dr. Harris told us publicly that he's going to the World Bank on this matter, and Mark Brantley almost tear off his clothes. Dr. Drew came in and said, I'm going to the World Bank. And Mark Brantley kept his mouth shut. While you, Dr. Daly, was lobbying for Dr. Drew to come to Nevis and meet with us, the last pronouncement that we heard from the Premier on this matter is that he and the Prime Minister is in constant consultation. They're always consulting. They were so close to each other that, according to him, light could not pass between he and Dr. Drew. If that is true, and I have no reason to believe that is not true, because he has never opposed Dr. Drew on anything, he and Dr. Drew consulted on what is taking place on the island. Dr. Drew feels that he doesn't need to come to Nevis and meet with us because he and the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, are in constant consultation. Are you telling me that Mark Brantley, in all this consultation, has not discussed fair share with Dr. Drew? Has no discussion with Dr. Drew about the fair share mechanism and what's went to the World Bank? You could be right, but I will not accept it for 1 second. The fact that Mark Bradley kept his mouth shut and only now finding an excuse because he does not like what he sees to say that he was not consulted, I do not believe it for 1 second. The fact that Mark Bradley is a compulsive liar and he cannot bring himself to speak the truth and has never spoken a moment of truth in all of his deliberation, I would not believe for 1 second that he was not consulted. But
consulted on what?
Say he had no discussion about what's going on. Nobody came to him and the figures. Putting this together.
That's after the fact.
That's what I'm saying. He's saying no after the fact.
That's after the fact.
Tulu is a minute after 10.
I am saying that I do not believe that he wasn't consulted and nothing he knew.
He knew the letter?
He knew everything what went on. Okay? He knew everything. That's why he kept his mouth shut all the way through and said nothing. If he did not know anything, then he's stupider than I thought. He should have come back and said to us he knew nothing. I am going to say to you that Mark Bradley is absolutely stupid. Good night.
I'd be surprised if he did not get sight of the letter before it was sent off. I'm sure, as a lawyer, he must know that he should ask for a copy for his own purposes. Get sight of it so he could make an input. And if he did not see it, he ought to have seen it. So the Ivor Stevens rule is in effect. On the other hand, I would not be surprised either if he actually did not see the letter. I would not be surprised if he didn't see it. Because you're talking about a lazy, incompetent man who, instead of looking for a reason to do something right, would have been looking for an excuse to stay out. And I leave it just there for tonight.
But let me say one thing to you. Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm holding that line is because he said in his presentation that there are things in there about national security, and he don't know what they're talking about. And that gave me pause to say he was not.
But you see what the premier did at that press conference is to throw some jabs at the Prime Minister.
Mm-hmm. Because he was
numbers not consulted and various things. Mm-hmm. But you notice the next day that the press and public relations people in Nevis put out some nice posts with him shaking hands with Drew and kissing Drew backside once again. Mm-hmm. The very next morning. So kick him the day in the press conference and then come out the next day and say, Mr. Drew, let me suck your breast. let me come cuddle up to you and be nice to you. And you want me to kiss you too, Dr. Drew? Let me be nice to you.
That's how deceitful
the man is. That's the man. That's the man you're talking about.
You're correct.
Anyway, as it relates to this report, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually they say, listen, you know what? We're not releasing this to the public. There's precedence. Remember, there was a whole report from the IMF that Tim hid from the people of Nevis? There's precedence.
They can't hide this one.
We're just telling you that there's precedence. Hey, listen, we're going to be back with you next week. It will be right after Culturama, and we want you to be involved. Fitzroy, Stucky, you were supposed to call me tonight. Before I shut down the show, I could still give you 2 minutes, but you got to call right away, so that we can hear about that big event which is coming up in September. Stucky, you're supposed to have the number on speed dial. So you should be able to give me a quick call, give me an update, and next week you got to call within the first hour. Because when things get hot, you mightn't get in. So that's where we're going to leave you until next week. The Premier said that NRP has been in bed with every political party in St. Kitts. But the Premier must know, because he's like a whore. He has been in bed with everybody down there as well, so he must know. The only statement I would make to him is a repeat of our national hero.
Well, we're open for business, and we are welcoming everybody.
That's me. That's how I think. NRP is open for business. We welcome everybody, except you, Mark. Don't come. We don't want you. You would spoil the very best of anything. So you stop where you're there. Here. guys, I didn't hear from Stucky, so we'll see you next week. Until then, be good.